second in a row, and Clark stays red.
I feel like I would be a really good ref, though, from the side.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't miss the call.
Backseat reffing.
Picture this. You're the best team in basketball. Undefeated. Untouchable. Rolling through opponents like they're traffic cones. Then one player, fresh off a 3-week injury layoff, walks into your house and single-handedly dismantles everything you thought you knew about dominance.
Nicely done to get it inside to Mitchell. Those two have such a great connection, especially.
That's exactly what Caitlin Clark did to the New York Liberty. And what happened next sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA. After 20 grueling days stuck on the sideline, nursing an injury, watching her team struggle without her, Clark didn't just return to basketball. She came back with a vengeance, and she picked the biggest, baddest target in the league to make her statement. The undefeated New York Liberty had been steamrolling everyone in their path, looking absolutely unstoppable. But they were about to discover that some storms you just can't weather. The moment Clark stepped onto that court, you could feel the electricity. This wasn't going to be a typical comeback game where a player eases back into rhythm. No, this was different. This was personal. And from her very first possession, she made it crystal clear that 20 days off hadn't dulled her edge one bit. In fact, it might have sharpened it. Her first trip up the court was poetry in motion. No hesitation, no rust, just pure basketball instinct flowing through her veins. She didn't waste a single dribble before dropping a
and then steps back with the three over Brianna.
No-look dime that had the crowd gasping and her teammates grinning. It was like she was sending a message to everyone watching. I'm not just back. I'm better than when I left. The chemistry with Aaliyah Boston was instant magic. You could see it in the way Boston's eyes lit up when she spotted Clark surveying the floor. She knew what was coming. When Boston battled in the post, Clark found her with surgical precision. Then, in transition,
Clark last played for Indiana against New York, and now she takes it in off glass and has a...
Boston was already sprinting down court like she had ESPN on what was about to unfold. Clark delivered a laser pass straight out of a quarterback's highlight reel. The kind of pass that makes you rewind the footage just to believe what you saw. But here's where things got absolutely insane. 3 minutes into the first quarter, Clark had already dished out 3 assists without even attempting a shot. The Liberty defense was scrambling, trying to figure out how to contain this passing clinic, when suddenly Clark decided it was time to remind everyone she could score too. She put a top-tier defender on absolute skates, powered through contact like it was nothing, and finished with the and one. Pure Clark magic, the kind of play that separates superstars from everyone else. Then, with just 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the first quarter, Clark flipped a switch that nobody saw coming. What happened next was the kind of basketball that makes you question if you're watching reality or some video game simulation gone haywire. 3 consecutive three-pointers in under 60
team this season.
seconds. But these weren't your ordinary threes from the college line. 2 of them were launched from over 30 feet away, at least 6 feet beyond where NBA players take their shots. The crowd was losing their minds, but Clark wasn't done cooking. She stepped back against Brianna Stewart, one of the best defenders in the league, and casually drained another 3 from Steph Curry range, like she was shooting around in an empty gym. Remember, this is a player who had been sitting at home for nearly 3 weeks. No games, no real competition, no rhythm. Most players need several games to find their groove again. Clark needed about 4 minutes. When the Liberty had the audacity to sag off her to start the second quarter, thinking maybe they could catch a break, Clark made them pay so fast it was almost embarrassing. Another 3-pointer, clean as a whistle, not even touching the rim. The Liberty coaching staff was frantically calling timeouts. But what do you draw up against someone who's playing basketball from another dimension?
Nails it. A 17-0 run.
By this point, something unprecedented was happening. Clark was sitting on 4 3-pointers and 17 points, while the rest of her fever teammates hadn't made a single field goal yet. This wasn't basketball anymore. This was a one-woman highlight reel being filmed in real time. Clark had now splashed 5 straight threes in the first half. 3 of them coming in a jaw-dropping 38 seconds that had fans checking their watches to make sure time was moving normally. The Fever were suddenly chasing a new franchise record for made threes, and with Lexi Hull starting to heat up alongside Clark, it felt inevitable. But the Liberty weren't about to go down without a fight. Their enforcer, Natasha Cloud, decided to flip the script and started playing dirty. Physical hits, off-ball bumps, anything to knock Clark out of her rhythm. It's become a disturbing pattern in the WNBA, where players who can't match Clark's skill resort to targeting her physically. But here's what makes Clark special. Instead of letting the rough treatment affect her game,
The thing you get with Clark is great pace and great passes. Found Boston perfect.
she used it as fuel. Even with defenders trying to intimidate her, she kept finding teammates with impossible passes and kept launching bombs from distances that made the Liberty defense look helpless. She closed the first half with yet another deep 3 that had the arena on its feet and the Liberty coaching staff looking shell-shocked. This was, without question, the best first half of Clark's young WNBA career. She was single-handedly keeping the Fever alive, shooting 66% from beyond the arc and making the Liberty's perfect record feel anything but secure. But there was one massive problem lurking beneath all the fireworks. The Fever couldn't buy a bucket inside the paint. Wide open layups were clanking off the rim, easy putbacks were getting missed, and every time it looked like they might flip the scoreboard in their favor, another gimme shot would roll out. It was the kind of shooting performance that makes coaches want to throw clipboards, especially when your superstar is putting on a clinic from 30 feet out. The third quarter tipped off with Clark.
Clark, another long 3. She's back.
Showing no signs of cooling down. She opened the half with the same swagger that had carried her through the first 24 minutes, slipping through double teams like water and finding teammates in spots they didn't even know they could receive passes. But the Liberty had clearly made adjustments during halftime, and things started getting chippy fast. New York began throwing bodies at Clark with reckless abandon. Hard screens that bordered on illegal, extra elbows in transition, anything to disrupt her flow and test her composure. You could see the frustration written all over their faces. They were supposed to be the undefeated juggernaut, the team that nobody could hang with. And yet here was one player, fresh off a 20-day layoff, completely dictating the pace and tone of their biggest game of the season. But Clark wasn't rattled. If anything, the increased physicality seemed to elevate her game even higher. She
Clark, another long 3.
fired off another laser pass to Aaliyah Boston for an easy bucket, then came right back down the court and drilled a step-back 3, so deep that fans were standing before the ball even reached the rim. The Fever were feeding off her infectious energy, and for stretches, it looked like they might actually pull off the upset of the century. Every time Indiana threatened to take control, though, the Liberty would answer with their own big shots. This wasn't some overmatched opponent folding under pressure. Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart started heating up, reminding everyone exactly why they hadn't lost a single game all season long. The back-and-forth action was reaching playoff intensity in what was supposed to be just another regular season matchup. Then came the moment that nearly brought the house down. Clark pulled up from logo range, the kind of shot that would be considered crazy from anyone else but felt routine from her. The crowd exploded before the ball even left her hands. And though the shot rattled out, the message was crystal clear. She wasn't just playing basketball.
Till last night, this run. Oh, that's a nice little fake by Boston.
She was putting the entire Liberty organization on notice that their undefeated record had an expiration date. Heading into the final frame, the Fever were still hanging around despite all their missed opportunities, and Caitlin Clark was still one spark away from flipping the entire game upside down. The fourth quarter opened like a heavyweight championship fight, with every possession carrying the weight of the Liberty's perfect season and the Fever's upset dreams. Clark came out aggressive, carving up the defense with pinpoint passes and fearless drives to the basket. You could see it in her eyes, the burning desire to prove that her comeback wasn't just a feel-good story, but a legitimate changing of the guard moment. The Liberty weren't about to hand over their perfect record without a war, though. Stewart started...
Challenging part of like all this So obviously I have the first injury and I sit out 4 games, and then I come back and I play really well.
Yeah.
And I feel really good. And like even this begin the year, like I played great. Like I started the year really good. Like I felt really great. Like my numbers were great. I was shooting the ball well. And then I get hurt, and it's like, okay, like you gotta get healthy, whatever. You're like, I'm gonna do whatever I can, you know, to get back to what I was.
Started working in the post with renewed aggression, and Ionescu kept answering with clutch shots from deep. Every time the Fever pulled within a bucket, New York punched right back. The lead kept fluctuating like a heartbeat monitor, and then came the turning point that had everyone holding their breath. Clark shook her defender with a crossover so filthy it should have required a warning label, stepped back beyond NBA range, and drained it right in the defender's face. The arena erupted like a volcano, and for one magical moment, it felt like the Liberty streak was hanging by the thinnest of threads. But championship-level teams don't panic, and the Liberty's experience began to show. They slowed the game down to their pace, forced the Fever into tough, contested shots, and got just enough defensive stops to maintain their lead. Clark tried everything to will her team back into contention. She was dropping dimes, drawing fouls, and even chasing down rebounds like her life depended on it.
As a team, because early in the season we were just so inconsistent, and if teams were to do that, we would normally lose those games, but it just shows that we're getting closer, we're trusting each other, and we're just, I think that's the biggest part, is trusting and knowing that we can win those games.
But those missed layups from her teammates kept killing momentum at the worst possible moments. With under a minute left on the clock, Clark buried one last deep three-pointer, refusing to let her comeback story end quietly. She had given everything she had, left every ounce of energy on that court, and even though the Liberty escaped with their undefeated record intact, they didn't leave unscathed. Because that night, Caitlin Clark reminded the entire league that when she's locked in and healthy, no team is safe. Not even the best team in basketball. After the final buzzer, the Liberty celebrated like they had just survived a playoff elimination game, and honestly, that's exactly what it felt like.
It's been hard.
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm gonna go to every road game no matter what, like whether I'm playing or not. Like, and it's hard because obviously I do feel this like responsibility of like being out there and playing, and like, not that I like think there's like a fear of any of this ever going away. Like that doesn't happen when like LeBron or Steph get hurt. Like they're always gonna be there.
No,
like, you
you'll be
know,
back.
yeah, exactly. So, but like, you do want to play. Like you want to give people something to cheer about or scream about, or, you know, people spend so much time and money and resources.
Relief on their faces was unmistakable as they walked off the court, but so was the frustration etched across Clark's. She had pushed a perfect team to the absolute brink and came within a few made layups of pulling off the upset of the season. When reporters swarmed her after the game, asking about the physical play and the near-miracle comeback, Clark didn't bite on any excuses. She just flashed that confident smirk that has become her trademark and delivered for words that sent chills through the entire league. We'll see them again. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Within minutes, social media was absolutely exploding. Clips of her 30-foot bombs were trending worldwide. The no-look passes were being replayed on every sports show. NBA players were flooding Twitter with reactions, calling her range absolutely absurd and her confidence ice cold. The comparisons to Steph Curry weren't just valid anymore. They were inevitable. This wasn't just another regular season game that would be for...
That's a PNW win! W's in the chat.
W's in the chat.
Oh my gosh. That one just aged me, but we're getting better. Shoot, good win. Win's a win.
A dub is a dub, so keep
Forgotten by morning. This was a statement performance that shifted the entire conversation around what's possible in women's basketball. Clark had just put up video game numbers after 3 weeks of inactivity against the best team in the sport in their own building. She finished with 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. If just a couple more shots had fallen for her teammates, we would have been talking about a triple-double that would have gone down in WNBA history. 7 three-pointers tied a new franchise record, but the real record was the level of dominance she displayed despite the circumstances. The Liberty might still be undefeated on paper, but in the court of public opinion, Caitlin Clark had just handed them their first real scare of the season. And everyone watching knew this was just the beginning of something special. The next morning, coaches, players, and analysts across the league were all talking about the same thing: Clark's return game. The buzz was infectious. The highlights.
It's been so hard because like I've never really dealt with injury, and that's probably been a challenge in itself because like when I first like was feeling pain, like I didn't understand it. Like I didn't know. I was like, am I just tight? Like, am I just getting old? Do I need to hit a stretch? Do I need to get like a little rubbed out? Do I need some icy hot? Like, what's going on here? So I think it's been a balance of like understanding my body, and I know like, you know, whether it's this year, whether it's next year, and even throughout my career, I'm going to be very.
Were mesmerizing, and the implications were staggering. If she could do this after 20 days off, what was she going to look like at full throttle during a playoff run? One thing became crystal clear that night. Caitlin Clark didn't just return from injury. She announced to the basketball world that she's not just back. She's better than ever, and she's coming for everyone.
A lot of ups and downs in the WNBA this season. To take care of business in a winning streak like this, what does that sort of say about how this team's coming together?
Yeah, you know, Seattle's a great team, great team, and it's hard to play here. And so we knew that. We knew that they just came off kind of a bad loss against LA. And so they were hungry for a win. But for us, it's not about other teams. It's about our standard. It's about stacking the days. And I think that where our mental's at as a team and as individuals, we're in a really good spot. And, you know, it's not going to be easy moving forward. But I think today we stayed true to the scout. We trusted the offense. Kelsey has been having a hell of a season. She was a little bit off, but she facilitated for us offensively down the stretch. And it just shows that everyone has something to give, even if your scoring's not going to be there. But I don't know, I'm just proud of our team, and I'm